Well, goodness sakes. I'm just trying to get set up here. I think I got it. Oh, dear. All by my lonesome tonight. Mary Paige had a flood in her little trailer, apparently. Water got in the roof and got between the roof and the ceiling and just ruined the ceiling and the walls. So she's cleaning up that mess and in the process lost her service, I guess. So she's struggling with that. EJ she's here in the chat, but she's off with her kiddos at a pottery barn where they're making pots, I guess. So we're not going to have her up tonight. So I'm all by myself. Haven't been here for a while. Let's see if I can get this camera right. I still do not have tanks set up. Been here 3 weeks and it hasn't yet. This week my brother's coming over and we're gonna make room for the stand that I had behind me with the 429s on it. We're going to get that in place, set the tanks on it, and then I'm going to start the process of getting them set up. Oh, look who's here.
Hi.
Hi. So where are you?
Let me show you. This is my life today. Just
Oh my.
call me the mom Uber. I'm mostly ignoring them.
We're telling us, well, I'm telling her to the scenario, and then I'm over here like, whoa, how does that make sense?
Yeah, so that's why I'm not up there with you.
Well, that's fun. That's fun.
Yeah,
Nice
so
to see you.
but thought I'd say hi anyway. So
Well, I appreciate it. Nice to see you.
yeah, so
Let's
have
see.
fun. I'll be trolling everybody in the chat. So
Terrific. Okay. Thanks, AJ. Be
all
safe.
right. Thank you. Bye.
Oh, yes, Whip's World. Heidi ho. Let's see. I know. Fanatical. It's terrible, isn't it? Just one thing. If she didn't have bad luck, she'd have no luck at all. Ariana, the cat drinking the fish water. That is Tom. Tom was the mascot of our shop. Tom was 14 years old. He died about a year, maybe a year and a half ago. He was an old friend who had been with me all those years. I had his mother. His mother gave birth to 2 kittens, of which Tom was one. The other one was stillborn, or in effect stillborn. I'll tell that story sometime. That was a sister, but Tom was a good boy. I have a picture of him that I've shown in previous streams. I've got to dig it out and get it hung somewhere. So it becomes, I've not hung a picture. I've been here 3 weeks. I'm just figuring out where the bed is and how to sleep. I have no routine yet. It's just gradually coming together. And there's so many, 1,000 things I need to take care of. So it's going a little slow, but I guess I'm going to get there. This week we'll get some tanks in place, and then I'll start setting them up, and I'm going to video that. So that'll be interesting because I'm starting 4 new tanks as Father Fish Deep Substrate tanks, starting them from scratch. So I'm going to go through the same stuff that a lot of you are going through, setting up new systems. I haven't done that in years because they last forever. But I decided this time to empty everything. I did not empty the 20-year-old 40. I still have that. It's still set up. Doesn't have any plants in it. It's only got 1 or 2 fish in it. But I've got that one. Once I get things going and organized and can order some plants, then that'll get taken care of. So things are just being a little slow. My apologies. The biggest problem is I just don't have any stamina. I get up and move around for 30 seconds and I'm gasping for breath. So I've been trying to get out and walk every day, and that seems to help. But I've missed it. For the last 2 days, I've not done it. So I got to get back into that pattern. All right, let's see what's going on here. Top chat. Let's do live chat and see where we're at. Ariana. Yeah, it was sad about Tom. I brought him home before the shop closed because he wasn't getting around very well. Fanatical says, AJ, get the kids to make some pleco caves. Good idea. Good idea. And EJ liked the idea. Gonna look for some cave options. Yeah, they were in a pottery shop where they take stuff off the shelf, I guess, and paint it and then fire it. So that'll be fun. Bass Queen's talking about working back into shape. I know. Oh, Fishley. Hello. Nice to see you. JBVM. Hello. Nice to see you, Scott Stankovich. Use the 40 for plants. Yeah, I can. That's right. And that's kind of what I'm going to do, at least to get started. I brought a few plants, but a lot of stuff didn't make it, including some tanks that broke. It was a rough trip, and the truck, all the tanks that were in the very back broke. So when we hit the road in South Carolina, it was terrible. There were potholes on 95. It was really bad. So we lost some stuff there. Other than that, it was pretty good. Liberty Bell Cichlids. Hello. Nice to see you. I think I'm okay. I'm not suffering with anything other than a bad case of, I don't know, it's a combination of things. I'm overcoming some of the lethargy, but I'm weak. I'm very weak. I can't walk without just getting out of breath or getting tired. So I've got to get built back up. I've got to get walking more. If I can walk for 2 days, I feel better. Just a few minutes each day. It doesn't take much, but I've got to keep up with it. And I haven't done it for the last 2 days. There's so much I got to do. First class fish. Hello. Let's give you a wrench and turn you blue and turn you into a member of the club. Nice to have you with us, first class fish. Have you spoken to Shelby lately? She called me a couple of weeks ago and was doing fine. She's caring for a family member, and it's taking all of her time and effort. What with having a family, a husband, and 2 children. So she just doesn't have time. She hasn't really had time to get online and do much. I didn't even have a chance to talk to her about her fish. But she's fine. She's doing well. She's happy. And hopes that she'll be able to get back with us at some future point. We just pray for her and care about her and wish her the very best. Bass Queen, I saw that giant reptile tank. When I was loading it, I got stuck halfway on a tire. The guy that stopped to help fell out when he realized I had lifted and carried it by myself. Oh, I know what you mean. Ariana. Vitamin D. I am on vitamin D. I've been doing vitamin D, I guess, for about 5 years. My a kidney specialist recommended vitamin D some years ago, and I've been doing it dependably and consistently since then. I don't overdose on it. I do one, I don't know what it is, 5 or 10 milligram a day, and it keeps it balanced. When my blood work is checked, my vitamin D is always optimal. EJ, wonder if I can use some of this ceramic pottery. Yes, you can, so long as it's fired. Otherwise, of course, if it's not fired, it'll melt. So it's got to be fired, and then you can use it. It would be better to glaze it, but you can get away with it not being glazed if it's fired. A pineapple. You might put a glaze on it and have it fired. Let's see, back up a little bit. Chong says, I need to start a dirt tank. Other fish, true hero, thank you, Father. You're amazing. Reduced feedings. Now my water is good. Fish and plants are healthy. Love you, Father. Well, love you, Chong. Nice to have you on board. We've had a group of people from China and Hong Kong come online recently, just within the past few weeks. So that's delighted to see them, delighted to have them with us. Let's see. Thomas Hines. Hello, Thomas. Good to see you. Oh, whoops. Made new kitty friends. Please tell us what you fed Tom. And managing the kitty litter. Rahan, oh well. What did I feed Tom? Gee whiz. I got some special food for him in his older years because he was having kidney problems. So we got a special diet for him. But prior to that, I fed him dry food. I would try to get a good quality dry food. That seemed to work better. When he got old, I would break down and feed him canned food because he really preferred it, and he was needed all the nice things he could get, I guess. Ariana says she uses clumping litter. I like clumping litter. It's easier to keep clean. Yes, when I hear from Shelby, again, I certainly will. Thank you, Chong, very much. Appreciate it. First Class Fish says, in Cleveland, we all need vitamin D 6 months of the year. Well, everyone does. I mean, if you don't get enough sun, and who does, you absolutely need it. Self-care is vital and important. Certainly is. Rachel Ray. I don't know if he can get that. Rohan is located in the Himalayas, in the foothills of the Himalayas. So I don't know what brands he may have available. Hard to get moving when your health is bad. I know it's true. Giving up on anoxic filtration. Decided to give the tanks one more chance and go with your system, Tanked Aquatics. Well, took you a while, but that's all right. Sometimes you just have to go through the fire in order to become refined. I know there's so much confusion out there, and this whole fantasy about anoxics is. The thing about it is, if you leave it alone, it will become a deep substrate. Just put some sand on it, and it'll work just fine. It just takes about a year for it to kind of settle in. Tanked Aquatics. That's interesting. Well, good job, Tank. We'll look forward to what you're doing. Now, anyone who is doing anything new or unusual or unique or significant, please be sure to get on the Discord channel. The link is below. And you'll be able to share what you're doing. You'll be able to post pictures, have conversations with people about it, do little short videos. It's really a wonderful resource to be able to share and to be able to talk through what you're involved with. We have dozens of channels on all sorts of topics, including all the things we discuss here. There's even a controversial channel where you can get on there and blow off steam. And there are a couple of personal channels. Tisha, who some of you know, has her own channel. I'm going to be offering another one sometime soon. Don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet, but we'll see. It may come to fruition. I have a channel called Lou, which is every once in a while I have to step in and be a referee. It's caused a few people to be thrown off the channel, so it's a little rough around the edges sometimes. But you don't need to go there. And if you don't, there are a number of really sweet, enjoyable, pleasant, as well as interesting and informative channels on the Discord server. So please come over and please check it out. You'll be delighted. We're at 800 and about 50 people on the channel so far. At any one point in time, there are 50 to 100 people there, with enough channels that it doesn't get so busy that you get ignored. And it's busy enough that you don't get ignored. So by all means. Let's see. What else? Sketty Nona. Sketty Nona. Sketty Nona, we're going to turn you blue. Make you a member of the club. Sketty Nona. Welcome, welcome. Nice to have you with us. Fanatical says UK is having a hot spell. And it's funny seeing everyone melting. I know they are in Florida too. It's deadly in Florida. I got out just in time, I think. It's been overcast here most of the last week with sporadic rain, but not hard rain, just kind of soaking rain. But it's been relatively pleasant in the low 80s, high to mid 70s. Funk is in the house. Here he is, Aquafunk. Hello, hello. Good to see you. Aquafunk did a wonderful vid the other day where he gave a tank to a young man. He does this routinely. He and Willie, I don't know if Aquafunk knows Willie, but Willie gives tanks to kids as well. It's such a wonderful thing to do because if you select children well, you're picking out kiddos who could not otherwise have a tank. Their parents are too poor. They just are not in a situation where they can afford to do anything. So by doing this for them, if they want it and if they're excited about it, and that's really key. Not every kid is, but if they are, it's just the most wonderful thing in the world you can possibly do for a young child is to give them a 10-gallon tank and help them set it up. Take them to the store, get all the materials, help them set it up, and teach them how to do a deep substrate. That's so critical. And because it teaches them right away at the very beginning before they're afraid to do it, how to do a tank that's going to last them a lifetime. So nice to see you, Aquafun. Delighted to have you here and very much appreciate your efforts. EJ, struggling to do the dirty stuff long time. I know that MD Tanks is wildly successful, but he breaks down his tanks after about 6 months. Yeah, the longer you leave them up, the better they do. Um, there comes a point where you start getting a mold buildup, a detritus buildup. And at that point, you need to add another inch of sand because your sand has become, in effect, clogged. It's not deep enough to handle the bio load that's working its way through it. It doesn't go through fast, it goes through slowly. So you've got to have enough there to be able to handle the volume that is, excuse me, that is precipitating down into the substrate. So adding an inch of sand usually solves the problem permanently, so that it just creates enough that things are going to be able to move through. Yeah, Bass Queen says my inoxic didn't work until I put sand on it. Well, that's it. It's exactly right. You put sand on it, and you've got a deep, a dirty, deep substrate. Isn't that what we're all about? It's a matter that sand is critical for a whole host of reasons, not just to separate the dirt from the water column, but to create an environment in which precipitation can occur, in which as I was just saying, in which the detritus, the waste, can work its way down into the dirt through that sand. There are countless reasons to do the sand bed. It harbors bacteria. Every single surface on a grain of sand. Grains of sand are not little round balls. They're broken. They have sharp edges. They have flat sides, like a hexagonal kind of thing. Multiple sides, and every single side on that grain of sand harbors bacteria. It grows on it. So you've got this tremendous bacterial environment that's growing on the sand grains in that sand substrate, which provides a tremendous foundation of biological material to break down waste. Fungus also grows in that environment. Those are the two primary things that are growing. And then in addition to that, there's microfauna that's very tiny, another that's larger, and all of that's feeding on the bacteria and the fungus and creating a food web. And that's really the nature of what we're trying to create. So that the food for that, now get this, the food for the food web is the leaves of trees, the dried and dead leaves of trees. So that's what you want to do. You want to collect those leaves. Now, initially, you need to collect them from a body of water, a stream, a pond, a lake, a river, a creek, anywhere where there are leaves in natural water. You get hands full of those, bring them home, put them in a jar or a bucket. Let the sunlight shine on them. You'll begin to see a tremendous amount of life in that. We did this initially Easter 2 years ago by setting up resurrection jars, a jar with that leaf material in it sitting on the windowsill, in order to demonstrate the tremendous variety of life. Give you an idea, in the wild, in any single mass of leaf material, detritus, humic material, whatever size it is, there are a minimum of 1,000 species of bacteria, 400 species of fungus, upwards of 200 species of microfauna, and dozens and dozens of species of macrofauna, in addition to algae, microalgae, macroalgae. All of that is in this little ball of leaves that you can collect from the wild, so that when you put that in your tank, you're bringing a world of life into your aquarium. Now, are there going to be interlopers, critters that are not particularly welcome? Of course, there will be. But there will also be their very enemies. This all balances in nature. The problem with the fish tanks, as we have traditionally kept them, is that we have allowed for the creation of monoculture. By trying to keep things sterile and clean, something bad will enter the tank because of overfeeding or a dead fish or foul water, and it'll explode and it'll take over the tank, and it will be dreadful. It will be horrible. That never happens in a natural food web system. And by never, I mean unless you take a pound of hamburger and throw it in the tank. Then it'll happen. If you do something to create an overwhelmingly foul environment, you can destroy it. But why in the world would you want to do such a thing? Little things like a fish dying here or there, it'll be absorbed. I got in the habit of pushing down into the sand, provide additional nutrition for the system. Now, obviously, if it's a big fish, you'll want to get it out because it can create a bacterial bloom that will suffocate everything else in the tank. So you have to use reason here. This is an art as much as it's a science. And the art part of it is common sense and doing what, I don't know how to say this exactly. I was going to say doing what feels right. Sometimes what feels right is not the right thing to do. Here it is. Don't do anything in a panic. If something goes wrong, sit back and look at it. Pay attention to it. Think about it. Try to understand what really is going on. The few minutes that it may take you to do that will prevent you from doing something that will make matters worse. And that too often happens. We panic, we do something, it makes it worse, and all of a sudden we have a terrible catastrophe on our hands. Control yourself. Sit back and look. Think about it. Try to understand what's going on. Usually it's easy to do that. Now, if you cannot figure out what's wrong, there are dead fish in the tank, take them out. And don't do anything else until you begin to understand what's causing the problem. There's no sense in trying to do something if it's going to be wrong. And unless you know what's right, how can you know what's wrong? For every right answer, there are a million wrong answers. You need to select the one that's right and ignore the others. But how can you do that if you don't understand what's going on? So you must understand. And don't think that the first thing in your thoughts, the first idea that comes into your brain is the right one. It may very well be, but it more likely will not be. I'm an old man. I tend to trust my first impressions. Probably 75% of the time, they're right. But the other 25% of the time, they ain't right and they get me in trouble. So I try to take those first impressions and examine it and determine whether that really makes sense. This is an art form. It's something you think about, something that requires some discipline. Art requires discipline. It's not just throwing paint up against the wall. It's not just throwing a bunch of stuff in a tank. There is a form to it. You adopt the form. You apply the form. You learn how to do it better and better. Now, the form that we've established and teach is so simple. A child, any child, can do it. It's really that easy. But it still requires a certain amount of common sense. I had an elderly couple come into my store once, and they wanted a 10-gallon tank. So I set it up for them, put the dirt in, put the sand on, told them to put a plastic bag on the top of the sand when they put the water in. They came back the next day angry. They had dumped everything out. It was a terrible mess. It was horrible. And they didn't want to have anything more to do. So I finally got out of them that what they did was they took their bucket and dumped the water in and stirred everything up and made a mess. They did not do what was reasonable and sensible to do. So it takes some common sense. It takes some reason. And it takes a positive attitude. I think, frankly, they had a negative attitude, and we're looking for a way to make it fail. Don't do that either. Let's get back to the chat here a bit. Dad Mike, been reviewing most of your videos on Food Web. Is it true that once established with leaf litter, then feeding the fish in the tank is not necessary? Why do talk scuds, Daphne, etc.? No, that's not true. What is true is that you are changing the food. You are changing it from some kind of prepared material to leaves and other humic material from the creek or from your yard or from wherever. That's the food. And what is that feeding? It's feeding bacteria, fungus, microfauna, all of which are feeding macrofauna and the fish. So you've changed from something that is foreign and commercial to something that is natural, that is in fact the food that is most common and most fundamental in the food chain and freshwater systems around the world. Research, extensive research, has indicated that the primary food in freshwater systems is the leaves of trees. So that's what you want to feed. When they disintegrate or broken down, put more in. Continually be adding leaves. Have a big bag of them that you can throw in. Don't do it once and be done with it. It's something that needs to be done continuously. That means in a really active tank once a week, more commonly if you put a great deal in once a month. Not often, not frequently, but routinely. Let's see. Let me back up a little bit. Tanked aquatics. Decided my water source cannot support plants by itself. There's no general hardness, no KH, pH is like 6.0 out of the tap. Yeah, I think you're probably right. If you set up this deep substrate, put a number of things in it. Put a lot of lime in it. Put a lot of iron in it. Put a lot of carbonates in it. Put a lot of humic material in it. That's mulch, peat moss, soil, those kinds of things. Put a lot of that in it. In other words, you want to put calcium carbonate. Put calcium carbonate in there. Get that soil level built up strong with all of the elements that your water needs. And then when you cap it with sand, it'll work its way through. It'll take a while, but it'll work its way through. You can then add a little sodium bicarbonate. That will get the pH up. You can add things like crushed coral, the Florida native coral, which is a fossil, is really good. Crushed coral is too. Put a little bed of that down, maybe 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch right on top of the sand. That's going to add carbonates, and it'll add GH and KH to the water. It'll get that hardness level up. You can do the same thing with eggshells. Crush them into a powder and put them in. Do natural kinds of things, in other words, to get this up. And then don't be so quick to do water changes. Probably the less water you change, the better off you're going to be, because you want this to build up and to become much stronger and much different than what it is coming out of the tap. But that'll do it. That'll turn it around. And it's not going to take big, long time to do that. Thank you, EJ, for posting the Discord link. How much dirt and mix would you use for a 3 to 5 gallon tank? In a little tank like that, I would put 1/2 inch of dirt and 1 inch to 1.5 inches of sand. 1/2 inch of the soil, and try to get as much in it as you can. And then another 1 inch to 1.5 inches of sand. You don't need more than that in a tiny container like that. Oh. Let me back up a bit. Somebody just popped in. Scott. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Lou.
Back up.
Father Fish.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Fantastic. I want you guys, what we're talking about right now, about the deep substrate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, first off, congratulations at being at your new place.
Thank you.
And settling in. And this is the first true Father Fish tank that we set up about a year ago. This tank is 11 months old, but I want to show you the stratification. If I can get it, I'm going to try to get it okay here. Let me brighten it up a little bit. Here, turn the light on there, babe. Yeah. Wendy says hi.
Hi.
Hi, Wendy.
But we want to show you, it's really important if we can get it. I don't know if we can brighten it up even more, but there's a layer. Oh man, we need a little bit more light. Hang on a second.
We can see it.
A little bit, but not as really. This has nothing to do with what is in the tank. It has to do with everything of how the tank develops over time.
Go back so they can see. You're up too close.
Yes, ma'am. And so what happens after about a year is it starts absorbing inward.
Yep.
All right. Really good example here is, the plants, and not about the plants. It's about it's about the absorption of that. And remember, and I can even say to you, like, I thought what I was doing was crazy. However, this right here becomes so stable in your tank over time. This tank has had nothing more than maybe a 10% water change.
Colors.
It's changed colors and layers, and it's actually kind of pretty. And so
we don't mess with that.
This is for all these people that are just kind of here that don't or haven't done this in full. And this isn't even giving it its full potential, because there's micro stuff going on down below that's incredible. We do throw leaves in here. There is detritus in here. There is absolutely some mulm, detritus. Leave that in there, because guess what's in the background? A couple of shrimp that are chowing on stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah, they're chowing on the moss.
And this is,
I think, is that moss or algae on them rocks?
Yeah, good question. Is that moss or algae?
Can't tell. It looks
I
like
can't either.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably algae. You got an algae.
And this is an
bloom.
unheated tank. Oh, gee, isn't that terrible? Terribly beautiful, right? That's what this kind of stuff is all about. To look at it from above, you know, this is what a deep substrate tank can do and a natural tank can do over the course of a year. And
You bet.
you saw this tank the first week we set it up when I came home from Korea.
Yeah.
And it's changed a little bit. We've kind of changed the design a little bit, got even more natural. But
I grew all this out.
yeah,
from
this is all grown out from one stem.
one plant that I got from one of them box stores.
This is grown up one stem from one box store over the
Yeah.
course of a year. It's doable. Trading is an awesome thing to do as well. We just happen to have zebra fish in here right now, and that's what we're running. But I just want to. Got company coming over. I'm going to let you all go.
All right.
Y'all have a good day. Bye.
Take care. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bless you.
You
Glad
bet.
you made it there
Yeah.
safe. Bye.
Thank you. All right. James Green. Better that the humans met them. I don't know what that's about. Talking to fanatical. Let's see. Dooby-doo. Ariana saying, wish I could get fish again, but with my cats and our landlords, we can't. Oh dear, that's so sad. Yeah, can be a problem. Cats can be a problem. Landlords are our worst problem. Tanked Aquatics. Let's see, we did this water thing and talked about it a bit. I hope that helps. Tank, get involved on Discord with this. I think we can help you do this. I really think we can make this work for you. Let's see. Oh. I've jumped around now. And I got lost. Dwight Erickson. Talking about how everything eats the dead fish. Absolutely true. Turn Dwight blue. Welcome, Dwight Erickson. Glassbox Hero saying it's about balance. Too many fish in any system with too much food will cause disaster. Yeah, too true. Bass Queen saying, I had the same problem. My plants all died until I went out and collected local. I do it in the spring before the dragonflies. Good idea. All right. May as well get down to the bottom here. EJ saying you could go weeks feeding if the tank's established. I have a bowl that has Neocaridina shrimp that I ignored for weeks or months. There are baby shrimp in there now. I put green water in the other day. And of course, what the green water will do is feed the microfauna, which will then be available to the shrimp. It'll feed the things that the shrimp eat. Oh, Bass Queen saying nothing worse than when I do something. I've lost so many fish that way. That's it. That's it. Do something and you're going to do the wrong thing. 99% of the time, whatever you do at the spur of the moment off the top of your head is going to make matters worse. Don't do that. Discipline yourself. sit down and think about it. Look at it, study it, try to understand. It's not a, oh my God, sort of thing. OMG does not work keeping fish. Just doesn't. Even a father fish system in a 20-gallon will fail with 7 bass and a handful of worms every day. Likely so. Likely so. There is a limit. Well, that's what I mean. It's an art form. It's not a science. You have to do what makes sense. Let's see. EJ, the small veggie matter disappears in 2 days. How's that? Black worms. Yeah. EJ is just, it's remarkable what she has been able to figure out in a very short period of time, and what she's been able to do to increase and improve the rate of growth of all of this natural food. It's just really remarkable, and something I want to do a video on it. I'm gonna help her do one for her channel. We need to get her channel built because she's doing something nobody else is doing. She's really focusing on how to develop and grow natural foods and how to feed them, how to use them as a significant part of the whole process of maintaining your fish collection. You know, there are people who set up jars and grow stuff. That's fine. But they're not using it routinely. They're not growing it in order to feed it to their fish. They're feeding other things as well. This is a systemic approach, a systematic approach to creating natural foods as a way of being able to maintain aquarium fish. That's what she's doing, and that's what's really vital about her work. Scott says, hence muck buckets. I prefer to call them resurrection jars or buckets. AJ, kids are done. Gotta clean them up. What else? I've asked Quinn to have a Rubbermaid that catches rainwater and collect larvae out of it for my mollies and guppies. Yeah, mosquito larvae. You can also get redworms out of that, which is the fattest fly, whatever it's called. What is that called? It's a larvae. It's a little tiny red wiggler of the little fly. Fattest won't work. It ain't in there. It's not popping up. Need to start collecting mulch from my tanks to get a base layer of muck for my pond. There you go. Fanatical, what sand are you using? You know, any sand will do, so long as it is inert. If it's not, you don't want calcium sand, in other words. You want granite sand, volcanic sand, beach sand, silica sand, any kind of sand that's inert, that's not going to dissolve in the water. T-Bone. Hello, T-Bone. Good to see you. Found your large green tiger barb under the sponge filter. My. Oh, dear. I know he was struggling to find it. First-class fish. Saw some very big peace lilies at the nursery. Yeah, they are amazing. Pool filter sand, that's really my favorite. Pool filter sand, it's usually rinsed. and it's a very uniform grain, generally 21 or 22. It's slightly heavier grain, but works real well. When are you going to release your fish food products? J-Dog. When I figure out how to get my butt in gear and actually get something organized. EJ is putting that together now. I think she's really ready to do it. I'll have her send you pictures or send them to me so I can send them to you so we can get them listed on the website. I think we're ready. We've got the containers. We know how to do the shipping. I think we're ready to go with it, Bass Queen. Dragonfly larvae, damselfly. They're damselfly larvae, the little red ones. Glassbox Hero, I keep missing your leaf question. All right, let me find your leaf question. Glassbox, going back. Midgefly larvae. I don't think so. Glassbox, favorite floater, red roof floater. Had some bloom in a matter of weeks. They are a beautiful plant. They can be difficult to keep. If you got them going, then you had quite a lot of light. Did you have them outside? Because that's how people normally keep red roof floaters. I have seen them successfully in aquariums, but you got to have a pretty strong light to be able to make it work. And I'm guessing that's what he was referring to. Your leaf question. No, there's something else. Ask your leaf question again, Glassbox. I'll look for it. Excited about the food? Yes. Well, EJ's working on that. That's really going to be her thing. She's got 3 or 4 ready to go now. She has green water, Daphnia, scuds. What else? There was a 4th item. Scud, Daphnia. Oh, maybe blackworm, green water. 4. We had 4 items ready, and then more in the works. They bloomed in your fluval speck. Very nice. Bass Queen, everyone got to do 32 anniversary weekend. And it's date time. Bye, everyone. Bye, Bass Queen. Nice to see you. Gestation period. Years. The gestation period of bloodworms is, I don't know, it's like 4 to 6 months. They get big. As adults, they'll get upwards of 1 foot long. They're actually an aquatic segmented worm. We get them about this size. And if you cut them in half, you'll have 2, or at least you'll have the 1. I think you'll have 2. So they grow by division when they're little, but when they get big, they actually grow by mating with each other. Glassbox and leaf hunting, here it is. Is it better to collect thicker, more robust leaves like magnolia or leaves that break apart easily like maple? You know, that's a really, really good question, Glassbox. Frankly, my suggestion is both. I think both are beneficial. The heavier, thicker leaves, like the magnolia, will take longer to break down. They obviously have more nutritional value. But the leaves like oak leaves and maple leaves, which break down much more quickly, are going to provide a lot more impact, a lot more food, a lot more quickly. So I think it's beneficial to do both. First class fish, didn't know we could even do bloodworms. We can. The parasites are not a blackworm parasite. They're a redworm parasite. It's something altogether different. And we're not dealing with redworms, at least not what's referred to as bloodworms. Where the blackworm is a completely different animal. The parasites that were coming out when we were harvesting redworm were coming because they were harvested in sewers and in very foul conditions. We don't do that anymore. The blackworms are not harvested in foul conditions. In point of fact, they're harvested in huge ponds that have running water going through them. So it's a completely different environment. And they will culture in your tank, not in vast quantities, but they will. There are leeches that come in. Generally, they're dead. I've never had a shipment of blackworms come in that had live leeches in every single case. And I've had hundreds and hundreds of pounds. Never had a live leech in any of it. They do come in, but they're dead. Oh, that's what it is, vinegar eel. That was the other item. She has vinegar eels, and she figured out a way to harvest them. We're going to do a little video on it because it's real exciting and very interesting and enormous. It solves the problem of harvesting vinegar eels, which is a pain in the rear end for everybody who's kept them. But she's figured out a way to do it that is clean, quick, and simple, and gets them all. Just clever girl. And once you hear it, you're going to say, I could have done that. Heard, watch your source for blackworms. No. There's only one source for blackworm, and that's a farm in Northern California. The fires that went through there 2 years ago killed off the entire population. That's why blackworms were not available for a while. There's only one place in this country that raises them, and they have a unique setup that is not duplicatable. Is the reason it's the only place. Basically uses running water, as I said, it runs through a string of large ponds, and then they go in periodically and harvest the bottom of that pond and have a way of being able to separate out the worms. They ball up. The worms will ball up. Right, we are at 7:04. We're at the witching hour. I'm gonna drag this out. I think we've had a good time. Don't want to disturb the sand to reveal the gravel I'm capping. Yeah, right. That's if you have old gravel in your tank, don't take it out. Just put a sand cap on it. It'll give you exactly the same conditions that the dirted deep substrate does, because that gravel has developed all of the same humic material and detritus that the soil does. You may need at some point to add some frozen blocks of material down in it in order to enrich it. But you don't need to tear it apart. Did banana worms. It's easy to keep cycling with oats and leaves. Yep. Banana worms are simple. Microworms are simple. There's a lot of food that's really, really easy to keep. Thank you, First Class Fish. Geo Tank Mates, good to see you. EJ's hard driving. She's on her way, taking the kiddos back home and returning home. So maybe we'll see her a little later tonight. She's going to try to get a video. We're going to try to get a video going on her channel. She needs to get some stuff. Make sure you sign up. Go over to EJ's channel and subscribe. Let me see if I can get the link for it here. I think I can. Might take me a second to get it up. Well, Mary didn't make it. I don't know. Hope she's okay. Here we go. Okay. Here is EJ's link. So click on that and get over and subscribe to her channel. We've got her to 100. We need to get her to 500. And we're gonna get her to 1,000. We're able to do that for Mary, and we've done it for a number of other worthy people. EJ certainly is worthy. She's doing things that the hobby really needs. So we want to get her the exposure she needs to be able to get her content out to people. All right. Bless you, everyone. I think we're good to go. So I like that music background. That's a new feature from StreamYard. Take care, all. God bless. So I'll be back here next Friday with EJ, Sunday with Mary Paige. Hoping to try to get a Noah in. I've not been up for it, but I'm getting to the point where I think I can do that. We'll try to do that this week. Bye for now. Love you all.